What's up, my brothers and sisters? Welcome to the Fireground Fitness Podcast, where we talk about all things pertaining to life on and off the fireground. The views and the opinions expressed are those of your host and our guest. Today, we sit down with Tammy Cifra. She's a captain with the Glendale Fire Department and a world traveler, and currently is working in her dream job as a recruit training officer. Matter of fact, she is the lead recruit training officer. We talk about all that and so much more. Please enjoy. Thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking and podcasting. I've known you for many years, but we've never had a chance to just sit down and chop it up. We're always just working, doing stuff, teaching classes and running through stuff. So you are a fire captain, and right now you're serving as the lead RTO at the Glendale Regional Public Safety Training Center.
Yes, that's a mouthful.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
The grip stick. And so I am, first of all, super proud of you and what you're doing there. I think is really cool. I've had the pleasure as an organization who's bringing recruits to you guys to see the results of the training that you guys are doing. Phenomenal to hear the feedback, etc. Now, before I go blowing your ego all up, I'll shut up. Now, but you have a story that led up to this, and who you are as a human being and as a fire captain, etc. And so I want to hear a little bit about you and talk about your journey and the things that are important to you.
Awesome.
So, Tammy, who are you? You're an enigma. Who are you, Tammy?
Where do you want me to start? Like as a kid? Like what do you want?
Yeah,
like, what do you want? I mean, not the whole thing, but there are some
well,
things.
So let's talk about that. So where did you grow up at?
I grew up in Glendale.
Oh, so you're a local.
Yeah.
Like very local.
Very local. I grew up down the street from where I worked in Glendale for probably 3/4 of my career. So, stationed right up the street.
End of story.
Yeah, it's a love story.
What'd you do growing up?
Well, I'm the only girl. I have 3 brothers.
Okay.
So that might answer.
Where do you fall in
questions.
the matrix?
1 younger, 2 older.
Okay.
2 older half brothers.
Copy.
So I feel like that answers a lot of questions for people.
What questions does it answer?
I was a tomboy growing up.
Yeah.
Just outside.
I
all
know
the
you
time.
love to be out in the wilderness. We've talked about traveling and hiking and backpacking and all that stuff. Where, how did you fall into that? Just who you are?
Traveling? Yeah, I feel like I'm just like a free spirit.
You're just full of wanderlust.
Yeah, just a free spirit. I'm very curious.
Yeah.
I like to challenge myself and kind of get out there and see different things.
So, okay. So coming up, did you play sports? How did you stay engaged as a young person?
I ran track.
Okay.
I ran track. I played volleyball, basketball. But running was probably my main sport where I was good at it.
What did you run in track?
I was more of a short distancer, like a sprinter. So I did 100 meter, I did hurdles, I did 4x1s. Yeah.
Did you ever do like the 400 hurdles?
Oh no. I tried, I attempted the 300s. Not for me. That's not my style.
Quitter.
The 100 meter hurdles is about all I could do.
That's like middle distance. Anything beyond 200, like middle distance, right? Like,
well, the funny thing with hurdles, like the 100 meter, the distance is close, and so you can hit it with the same leg.
Yes.
But you start getting into the distance, and it's like switch leg, and it's a whole lot of things.
So I was a hurdler.
What?
Yeah. You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah. I was a hurdler and ran the 110s and ran the 400. So growing up in Canada, they ran 400s. They never did this little sissy 300 nonsense. So I was pretty good. Although I will say this, I have one speed, and it's slow. So I could run the 400s. I could run a flat out 400 as fast as I could run it with hurdles. Like it was irrelevant. The hurdles were irrelevant. I couldn't go any faster.
Yeah.
But they didn't slow
That's
me
pretty
down.
good.
Yeah. So I was mediocre at best.
Success,
and so it was perfect. So I was able to have a moderate success with the 400 hurdles. But I loved it because it was long enough and I had a bit of an engine so I could sustain my speed throughout. But like I said, it was just, the same tempo the whole entire way. But the 110 highs, by the time I got to my senior year, they had gotten so high, I couldn't smoothly run them. It wrecked me. Yeah, I sucked at it.
Oh.
I mean, I enjoyed it, but I was not very good.
That's fun.
Did you end up running in college? I don't remember if you told me this or
No.
not.
So I actually just went to community college.
Okay.
Started doing stuff to get hired and classes for fire.
So you had a fire bug right away.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
So 9/11 happened my senior year in high school. So I remember that day very well. And I was kind of toiling with what I wanted to do. I had actually no idea what I wanted to do. I knew that I didn't want to sit behind a desk. I kind of watched. My mom was a girl boss. She worked her butt off. And watching her, like, go to work every day and kind of not super be happy, but do it for us.
What'd she do?
She was a dispatcher for night transportation.
Oh, okay.
For like over 20 years. Really good at it, but just long hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just knew I didn't want to sit behind a desk. So I was actually leaning towards military, like something military. But 9/11 happened, and I remember hearing stories of some of the public safety officers writing their social security numbers on their forearms before going into the towers, because they just knew they were going in multiple times. And
I never heard that before.
Yeah, so kind of the writing on the wall. And so kind of that struck me so deeply, like that you could be part of something bigger than yourself, that you would willingly go into a situation knowing you might not come out, to the point that you would write your social on your arm if they were to find you later. So I was like, holy cow, like that's like super special. I want to be a part of that. So
yeah. Had you had anybody in your life that was public safety prior?
Mm-mm. Yeah, no.
Anybody in your social group be like, yes, me too?
Like at that time?
Yeah.
Not that I knew.
Okay.
Like as I look around, it's funny. Like I went to Ironwood High School, but I look around, there's a ton of us that actually ended up on the fire service from my high school, but we didn't, not collectively together.
Right.
Like it was kind of after the fact.
Yeah, it's all later.
But yeah, so I actually ended up graduating high school early. We had like block scheduling, so you could kind of alter your schedule. Graduated early, started taking my EMT my second semester of high school. And as soon as I had my EMT, I started testing for fire.
So you're what, 18, 19?
18. Yeah. So funny, that station I grew up down the street from.
Yeah.
I just walked up to the station, knocked on the door, and was like, hey, I want to be a fireman. Like, what do I do? And so he took me in, sat me down, like, yeah, this is what you need to do. You need to be a part of the cadet program. You start volunteering. At that time, Glendale had just started their crisis response.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the brand new, like first wave. So I got in like for that training program and started volunteering with Glendale. And so.
What was it about? So you were on the crisis response team. What are some of the experiences there that helped you move forward in your career?
Wow. Just thinking back, man, it's funny. Being 18, 19 years old, and being put in the situations that crisis response calls that you go on.
Give me an example.
Like death of a family member.
Yeah.
Like 19 years old showing up to somebody's house who maybe just lost their son or daughter, or their mom or dad. You go through training. You go through crisis training on how to like help somebody cope with that.
How to not say something stupid.
Yeah. So how to...
Yeah, because all I'm thinking is like, as an EMT, you're like, can I take your blood pressure? Can I help you? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, we would go on these scenes. Firefighters would leave,
and
we'd sit with these family members for sometimes like 3-4 hours waiting for whatever, the process to kind of go through. So, yeah, kind of being in that role, kind of being... I don't know, like supportive and like kind of what your presence meant to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes not even saying anything at all, just kind of being there. So I feel like they talk about Glendale, we'll get there, but like being the Care Bears, and I felt like that was like a natural role for me to kind of step into that with people. But it was definitely...
You're a naturally caring person?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a good listener. Like, I feel like I can empathize with people.
Yeah.
Pretty easily, so...
Right.
Kind of...
I think it's cool that you kind of discovered that, right? And you realize it. 'Cause I think a lot of times we go through our lives and we don't really know what we're good at. We don't know what's going to be in our wheelhouse. And you kind of, I almost want to say you stumbled across it.
Yeah.
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 So how did you leverage that into a job on the fire department? I mean, obviously you're working in an allied field, for the fire department, but not directly as a firefighter. How'd you make that work?
Well, besides doing the CR, they had cadets. So.
Oh, right. Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, doing the cadet program. It was a really small group. It was probably like maybe 8 to 10 of us. So it was actually pretty intimate. They got to do lots of ride-alongs, and people got to see your face and your name and kind of your work ethic. And so I remember one day I was on, like, doing a shift on the CR, and one of the fire chiefs is like, "Hey, like, are you interested in being fire? Or, like, you can stay on the CR?" And I was like, no, I want to be a firefighter. And they're like, "What are you doing?" Like, so.
Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just a baby. I'm just 19.
I'm just 19.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got hired at 20.
Wow, that's awesome.
I tested everywhere.
That's very cool.
But Glendale was the only place I wanted to work. That was like my... Deep down, that was the only place I really wanted to land. There's
something... I will say this, and I've said this before on the podcast, but I'll say it again. I've really I've had local envy a couple different times when I'm cruising through town and the dudes in the truck are like, "Oh yeah, I grew up over here, and we used to go play basketball over here. We'd hoop it up over there, and we'd go play over the line over there at that park, or we'd go to the club over here." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't even know where we are right now." Right? And it growing up in a whole different part of the world, for me, I do appreciate that, and I think about how cool that would be to be running in the neighborhood that I grew up in. Very cool. Did you find that to be a unique experience? Like, will you enjoy that part of the job?
Had pros and cons.
Yeah.
Because I actually
How so?
sometimes run on folks that I knew and people I went to high school with, like, not so great situations, and
yeah.
But it was also cool too, like going back to my old elementary school. It was in my first year, running calls or just kind of seeing some of my teachers, and like, "Hey, like,
I know
I
you.
remember you." Like, so that part was cool. Like, that is awesome. And then kind of just getting to serve the community you grew up in.
Yeah,
that's kind of a super unique little situation to kind of be in. So.
Yeah, that's really cool. The only time I went back to my elementary school, I remember going into the bathroom and seeing how tiny the little bathrooms were. I'm like, I don't remember it being this small.
Yeah.
I feel like a giant right now. I feel like I'm a giant. What is happening right now? Other than that, I never went back to elementary school. So you get on the job, you're working your way through, your career. And what are some of the things that you're a captain now? How many years do you have on now? 20?
19 will be 20 this
year. Right, just
year.
coming up on 20.
Yeah.
My math, I'm working on it, but so close. So you're coming up on 20, very exciting. That to me, 20 is a big year because for me, when I hit 20, I started reflecting on my career a lot, and reflecting on my experiences and things I've learned and et cetera. So I'm going to force you to do that right now. As you reflect, if you're not already doing it, we're going to do an exercise.
Okay.
Throughout your career, as you look back over the 20 years, what are some things that you can identify that have really shaped who you are and shape how you feel and how you think and, drive kind of your philosophies, if you will?
Ooh. Let's see. I remember getting hired young, 20 years old. Seems like maybe you would have a ton of confidence to kind of jump into that career field and kind of go through academy. But like, I feel like I've always just kind of been like, I don't know, maybe not as confident. So I think like one of those first challenges, I got voluntold to go to medic school on probation.
Oh, wow.
So I'd been a new EMT, and now you're on probation. Now you go through medic school, and now you're...
You were salty, though. You had been a CR van EMT. You were like, very crusty.
No. So I just, I think being put in those situations, like just being super young, just young in tenure, and then like young in life, not a ton of life experience, but I think just you got to rely a lot on like your gut instincts, and fall back on your training, and like trust that like what you're saying and what you're asking people to do on scene. Like it's kind of an awkward situation to be in. So I think from a young age,
what makes it awkward? Your own insecurity?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it might have been just insecurities, like just being young and wanting to do like I would call myself a perfectionist, but wanting to not make mistakes, or being afraid to make mistakes, or especially being new on the job, and I don't know, a lot of people put their name on you. It's the whole thing. So I think that experience, though, like from a young age, being able to like trust in yourself and kind of build on that, and kind of make a name for yourself and start building your confidence slowly. I think that alone gave me a ton of confidence, like moving forward, at least. I don't know. It was interesting. So, I love, like, I got into this job, because I wanted to help people, and like just doing my ride-alongs, and, being a part of Glendale, like volunteering and like being on the job. I wholeheartedly was 100% in, like, passion for the job. My parents said they've never seen me so passionate about something in my life. And about 7 years on, it's kind of funny. I talk to people about this now, but about 7 years on, I kind of got maybe on a crew that wasn't as motivated, or maybe didn't share the same affinity for the job. I'm like this, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed kid. I show up on this truck. And it is amazing how contagious maybe a negative attitude is. And so I think I was there for a few years off and on, but I just kind of watched myself take on a little bit of that negativity, or kind of like soaking that up. And I didn't like that at all, because I started changing my viewpoint on the job. And I was like, it's not true. Like, I know I love this job. So
how did you discover that, though? How did you recognize it?
Oh, man.
Was a little voice, little devil on one shoulder and a little angel on the other? I
think what was cool is I had a strong support system outside of work, too. Like, at the time, like, home group with, like, church, or I had a very influential coach in my life. Who I would train with, and he was also kind of like an elder at our church, and so it kind of just like, hey, something's off. Like you don't seem like the same.
Picked up on your bad attitude.
you don't smile as much, or like there's something different. And so I was kind of like, okay, like this is, I honestly had considered like, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'll get to 10. I'll vest out and try something different. And I was like, nah, man, that's not right. So, I bid off shift, completely just left to go rove and try to change up my environment. And it worked 100%. As soon as I got out of whatever that was, completely changed my outlook on the job. And, so it's interesting because I'm sensitive to that now, and so I watch others, and I can see like when they get, usually it's like around the 5 to 10 year mark, like people who were like super involved, super gung ho, and then all of a sudden they just kind of fall off the map a little bit. Yeah, I've had a couple conversations with some of our younger firefighters, just like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, so I kind of share my story.
What do they say?
Kind of same thing, like somehow or some way they get disenfranchised, or if they were slighted on something, maybe they didn't get a promotion, or they didn't get selected for something, or what I've seen and what I tell, especially now, like new recruits and firefighters that are on my truck, is you got to stay engaged. You got to find some way to stay engaged. And so I think when I was in that environment, I was buying into that negativity. So whatever that was, if it was we run too many calls or whatever it is, like you kind of, if you're not engaged or you don't have some sort of tie to reality or some sort of grounding, whether it's being involved in charities, running a program, training, finding something that you're like passionate about, whether it's forcible entry or something that just like your niche or something that kind of lights you up.
Yeah.
Like you got to seek that out and like keep like pursuing it. I don't know. I feel like if you kind of just kick back and go into relax mode or get complacent.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting because a lot of times people will poke at the organization, right? Their department. Well, the department's not doing this for me or that for me. And that may very well be true, right? You may not have all the best equipment, or they may have priorities that seem misaligned with what your priorities are when you come to work every day, right? But it's tough because sometimes we start running calls and we run in certain parts of, in our neck of the woods, or some places that are just very busy, and it feels like you're on an island and you're not being taken care of and the organization's not doing anything. And my perspective has shifted a lot along with my seat, which I think has changed my view a lot and has expanded my vision on this. But I think about, I can promise you that the exec staff, they do care, and they're trying to figure it out. And I'm not trying to apologize for everybody, but I will say it's tough because they're in a tough spot and they're trying to push things through and get stuff done. And they do care, but it never happens as fast as anybody would like it. And it's tough. So what I would challenge folks to do, and I think about someone who is in your situation, and I think about moments when I've been, I'll use your word, disenfranchised, right? Where I remember getting passed over in a process being like, don't they know who I am? Like, what is happening right now? I swear I gave the best interview and the best tactical, but every time that happened, I stopped and go, okay, what part do I play in this? And I would step back and do an accountability check and say, okay, what am I doing to control my attitude? And I feel like that's why I asked you kind of, what changed for you? What did you have, having somebody who engaged you and said, hey, what's going on, causes you to pause and go, yeah, what is going on? And reflect. So I feel like all of us who are, anybody who's listening to this, take a note out of Tammy's book, pause for a minute and ask yourself, what's going on? What am I doing? What part of this can I control? Because the 911 calls are going to keep on coming. You can't stop that.
I think it's what you focus on. Like, you can focus on that. Like, yeah, the light bar is never going to stop. Or you could focus on, like, your crew for the day. Like, I've seen crews that run 20 calls a day, and they have the best shifts because it's their attitude.
Yeah, what's that all about, right? Yeah, some of the busiest companies are the happiest out there. And I had the pleasure of being in Central Phoenix Battalion 8 for quite some time. And during that period, very busy area. And what I loved about it was the crews were always busy. They were cooking chow and shopping. And I'm like, how are you guys doing all this? And running calls is amazing. And so they just found a way. And I can't explain it. The laws of physics don't make sense. It doesn't work out mathematically, but they made it happen. It was amazing. And I have to agree with you. It has something to do with their headspace.
Yeah, you got to focus on the right stuff.
Yeah. So you transitioned out of that. You got into a better headspace for yourself, speaking of which, and then what'd you do?
So after I was hazmat early on, so I stayed on that hazmat team. I started getting more involved at work. Charities has always been my passion. So I started like a little charity run for veterans. Like, that was super fun. That was like something that I was passionate about and kept me engaged and allowed me to kind of give back in other ways.
Wasn't it like a 5K or something? I remember. I seem to remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was super fun. I started having some awesome mentors kind of on my truck. Captains would come in and, I don't know, kind of engage you and encourage you, which I think is so important. Like when you think, especially now being enrolled as a captain, if you're wondering whether or not like you affect people, like in that seat, you do. Like even just the way you approach your day.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, like the expectations that you set, your goals and your aspirations that either you are pursuing or not pursuing. All of those things. Like, and so I had some really good mentors that came on my truck and kind of inspired me. And even to this day, like those are the ones like I try to emulate as far as my leadership style after.
What are some things that they did that you were like, that right there?
They made me feel like they cared about me. Like,
okay, I'm going to press. How did they do that?
They took an interest in either me or my career goals or challenged me. Kind of put you in maybe uncomfortable positions where it's like, hey, maybe you should move up today, or maybe you should, like, what are your goals for your career? Instead of just showing up and being like, hey, what's for dinner? It was like, no, hey, let's sit down and have conversations. How they were on calls, like how they treated patients, like their customer service, and just how they carried themselves in the department. Like the ones that were super engaged, had awesome reputations, were always pursuing like the better good of the department, not necessarily like promotions for themselves. Good sense of humor. I think being able to, like one of my captains, it was hilarious. Like he'd be like, "Hey, on scene, it's all business. Like as soon as all those doors like shut and we get off the truck, it's all business. Like we're not playing around, but like we get back in, like okay, we're joking around, we're having a good time. Like it was a good balance. Like I don't know, like it was fun. Like they just had lightheartedness, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you know, a couple things you talked about I think was really interesting. When you talk about, you were very clear about, hey, once the door's shut behind us, it's all business. And when we get on the truck, it's all fun, right?
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah.
And I think about that in terms of like, the expectation was obviously very clear, right? This is how we will carry ourselves. So I think clear expectations is what I'm hearing and what you're talking about is one thing.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And the other thing I hear you talking about is the thing that really struck me is when you said that they took an interest in you, right? In your career, in your needs. And I think about, you know, when they talk about training, like they probably were like, okay, Tammy, what do you want to train on today? Right? What's on your mind today? And you're like, oh, well, I don't know. Well, think about it and come back to me and we'll work on it, right? Or whatever. If it's tied in with what your career objectives are or what have you, et cetera. And so I think that's such a valuable disposition to have, right? To be thinking about your crew coming in and looking at them and going, what do they need? You know, that's just the most important thing that a company officer can do for their people. And I think that no matter where you are in the organization, we all have an opportunity to provide leadership in the organization. And so look around you and go, okay, I'm a junior firefighter. What does my senior firefighter need? Right? What does my captain need to be successful? You can lean in as a junior firefighter and provide that support to them. You know, whatever that looks like. And it's, you know, they're human beings and they have needs as well and struggles and concerns. And so be a little bit empathetic and think about what their needs are, right? Put yourself in their position. And I know if you're 18, 19 years old, you have no idea what they need. Some 40-year-old grumpy ass captain needs, right? So build a relationship, right? Get to know them a little bit. Yeah, find out the things that they have going on in their lives. It's such a valuable, so it seems so obvious and so easy, but it's not that easy to do.
Or just know and do your job. Like we talk about that all the time. Like, don't make me be a captain. Like, if you just know your job, if you show up, if you do stuff that I expect you to do, like check the boxes, whatever it is, like whatever your expected job is, and you just show up and you do your job, like, that's awesome.
That's step one.
That's awesome. So,
I feel like that's a pretty low bar, kind of the least we could expect of you, but let's, I get it. But but that's a good starting point, right?
Yeah, but I mean, but it goes deeper than that. Like, I don't know, make sure you're prepared for work, and make sure you're training, and make sure, like, you're asking the questions, and, like, I don't know. It goes a little deeper than that.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. Got me thinking. Deeper. Yeah. So when did you promote? Remind me.
2018.
Okay. So you've been a captain now for quite a while.
No. Like 5 years. Baby. I'm a baby captain.
Yeah. Well, even more. So as a company officer, right, you've been on the job now for quite a while. You know some stuff. You've seen some things. What keeps you up at night?
Oh, boy. I have a couple. I was laughing about this because I don't sleep much as it is. So there's a lot of things.
There's a lot of monsters in the closet keeping you awake.
Yeah. There's a lot of things I feel like that keep me up at night. But I had some, like, I don't know. Like, I broke it down in a couple different things. So, company officer, like, funny.
Yeah.
But from the time that I started moving up into that seat, and it's funny how your perspective changes. And I was just talking about somebody this the other day, but, like, what you think about, what's important to you, and, like, what your priorities are. But buildings in my first due used to keep me up as a company officer. Like, just weird stuff in my, like, hey, I haven't walked that building in like 6 months. Like, I wonder, like, if that caught on fire, like, right now, what would be my plan? Like, silly stuff.
That's not silly. That's 100% what you should be thinking about.
Kind of tying into the other thing, like, feeling like I don't have all the answers. Yeah. I feel like when I was thinking about promoting or thinking about trying to move up and, like, get my packet signed off, I was like, I'm not ready. I don't know all the answers. And I remember having this conversation with one of my good mentors, my captain, out in the parking lot, and he's like, do you really think that you have to have all the answers to test for captain or to be a captain? He's like, do you think I have all the answers? And I was like, well, yeah. He's like, no.
I have you fooled.
I don't. So he's like, you got to get that out of your head. Like,
yeah.
You don't have to know everything. Like, your head has to be in the right space. Heart has to be in the right place, but you don't have to have all the answers. So, but I do. I think about that. I'm like, I don't have all the answers. Like, and then honestly, like, talking about being engaged with your crew, and keeping them motivated. Like, I worry about, am I doing enough for them? Like, am I engaging them enough? Am I doing things that motivate them?
Right.
If I have people on my truck that maybe aren't as engaged, like, try not to take that stuff personal, but also worrying how to kind of get them back on track. And so it does, like, that stuff kind of keeps me up at night. In this position, like my lead RTO stuff, I have other things that keep me up at night, but
how long have you been an RTO now?
I did 3 classes as an RTO.
And that means recruit training officer for those who don't know, but many of you do.
So I got to be RTO for 3 classes prior to this, and then I just finished my second class as lead.
Okay,
RTO.
so let me ask you. So I won't call it a regret. One of the missed opportunities in my career has been that I did not get to be an RTO. I never had the chance. So I'm going to live momentarily, vicariously through you. What has been as an RTO? What was it like for you that first go round?
So funny. I almost didn't put in because I felt like I didn't have all the answers. Weird recurring thing.
It's a theme.
Recurring theme. But yeah, like, I think I had about 15 years on, and I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what I bring. Like, what do I have to teach anybody? Like, so I put in and hands down, the greatest experience. Not only my career, but probably like top highlights of my life.
Really? Why do you say that? What is it about it?
Like, one thing is talking about being engaged and finding something you're passionate about and like reinvigorating your career. I feel like you plug into like a powerhouse of like the juice. Like, you have all these kids who are like, starry-eyed and just like hungry for knowledge, and they're so excited to be here every day, no matter, even though they're wearing a dirty red shirt and they're soaking wet from sweating and whatever they're doing, they're just happy to be doing it. So, to me, like, it reminded me why I fell in love with the job. Like, because it's easy sometimes, like, on your fourth call after midnight or middle of 48, you're kind of like, wait, why am I here again? Okay. No, but it reminds you. It helps. It definitely reminds you why you love this job and why it's so awesome, and to kind of see the excitement of people. And it's very humbling. I feel like this experience, even if you're not coming down here like super confident, it's very humbling. Like, just the trust that not only they have in you, but like your department and like other departments, like they're entrusting you with, like these brand new
the training of their newbies, right? So, and this is a regional academy, so you're representing your company officer in Glendale, but you could have a firefighter from Buckeye or a firefighter from Tempe, or any number of regional departments could send one of their folks here, and they could be on your engine company, or as the lead RTO, you're responsible for the whole shooting match, so to speak. How has that changed you or shaped your approach?
Well, it's interesting. I think about, I think it was like a family orientation. One of my first times being an RTO, and somebody's parent came up to me, and they like shook my hand and said, "Hi, I'm so-and-so's parent." I was like, "Oh, nice to meet you," and they're like, "Promise me that you'll train like my baby to be safe, and like that you will do the best that you can to make sure that when they go out in the trucks, they're gonna be safe." I was like,
"Yeah, no pressure."
Oh wow, okay. So it's kind of funny. Like, I think about that all the time, like how I approach it, like, and same thing, like being in this position, I think about like, am I doing enough? Like, everything I do, and like I put my heart and soul into like making sure that I give these recruits like the best experience, the best training that we possibly can. And so, yeah, I think I don't know, like it makes me look at things, like especially even my own career, differently.
Yeah.
Not being complacent, like holding yourself accountable, whether it's to your training, your fitness, like your total wellness. I don't know, like it's another sense of accountability, because there's people counting on you in a whole nother way. I
love that. I think about often the responsibility placed upon a company officer, just on a fire company. You have the front right seat, and you have 3 other individuals whose lives are in your hands on a lot of different levels, right? Like simple levels, like, hey man, we're going to go get some chow. Can we stop and get some, thirst busters? All the way up to you are making decisions that could put them in harm's way. And you have a responsibility to make a good decision, right? Like at this high level. And not to mention giving assignments, if you're the incident commander, to other incoming crews and potentially putting them in a position where they are at risk. And the accountability you have when you bring up that mom who came up to you, that hits me right in the heart, because I think about how important that job is. And I'm not accountable just to the 3 people on my truck. I'm accountable to a long chain of people, right? Family members and city management and the community who feels they have ownership in this organization. They're my firefighters, right? If any hair gets, plucked off the head on one of those folks, you're going to account for that. And that's a big deal. And I love when people start thinking about becoming company officers. I wish they would really understand that. Because it's not enough to just sit in the front right seat, push buttons, and talk on the radio. That's a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of this job. The decision making and the mantle of responsibility is incredibly important and heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what keeps me up at night. By the way, it's a big deal. Well, so. Anyways, talking about being a lead RTO, yeah, you have to train these folks now. I guess it's just the fundamentals.
Right. No.
Do you ever get pushback from anybody in the field who's like, hey, man, what the heck did you do down there? What's up with this recruit?
Oh, yeah. That's another thing, too. After being down here, you have a much better perspective of what we teach and what the goals are. I think sometimes in the field, they kind of lose sight. They're expecting a full-fledged, fully experienced firefighter to walk into the station. You're like, no. That's your job.
Yes.
We built the foundation. Hopefully they know how to be safe and they know the basics, but you got to teach them the job now.
That's right. Yeah, that's important. We need to make sure people understand that, right? You're not getting a fully formed firefighter. You're getting
an embryo.
Yes. You're getting just a baby.
Just a baby.
Yeah, they know just enough. Just enough, which is exciting and great, but boy, just enough.
Also, 3 months of academy, 9 to 12 months probation. There's a lot of learning that needs to go on
so
that
much. And I am always amazed at, I've been doing this now for 25 years and going on more, but I'm always amazed. Every time I turn around, I'm like, oh, I'm learning something new. I'm like, oh, I should have known that. How did I not know that? Right? Because though you can't know it all, you're still growing and learning and evolving, and you're going to learn new things. I've just gotten old enough and sassy enough that I can be like, yeah, I didn't know that. Teach me. Right? And so I wish that somebody had bumped me in the head when I was younger and said, hey, it's okay to not know. So, but don't sit there in the unknowing. It's okay to not know, but it's not okay to not go find more. Right? What would you tell 18-year-old Tammy if you had her in your academy class right now, one of your recruits?
Oh, it's so funny. I think about when I was new on the job. There was a female chief, and she was on her way out, and she kind of pulled me aside. She pulled me away from all the boys, and she pulled me to the side, and she's like, hey, don't let anybody here, or don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something that you want to do. She's like, if you want to promote, you promote. You want to be an engineer, you want to be a captain, whatever you want to do. She's like, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. And it's funny, I'm super fortunate to have grown up in the city of Glendale. I heard we just got surpassed, but for a long time we were Girldale. We had the most females per capita.
Who surpassed you guys?
I just heard Peoria did.
Really?
I know.
Interesting.
We need to step it up. We start
it's kind of you make the ratio, the percentage of
per
females on the job. Okay.
We had a in the valley. I think we were pretty 10%. I think the
that seems like a very high number. Yeah.
Was I think national average 5 to 7.
Oh, that sounds high to me, but I don't know. I could be wrong,
but forever we were Girldale. I love that. But growing up my whole career, there was females in every rank.
Makes sense because girls like yellow.
Yeah, they do. I do like yellow fire trucks. They should all be yellow, but no. But I watched females in all ranks.
Yeah,
that wasn't.
Yes.
That wasn't odd. That wasn't unattainable. That wasn't any of that stuff. But going back to the confidence thing, just having her say that and kind of watching her, she's in this elevated chief position, and it's kind of Like,
why would you tell me that?
Yeah. So,
yeah.
And I've heard some of their stories, and like I said, they kind of paved the way for me. So I feel like I was very fortunate.
Well, so let me ask you. I feel like the fire service has evolved a lot, right? And the folks who work in this business now seem to have figured it out, right? The secret: girls are here to stay, right? And I feel like having sisters on the job helps us in so many ways. Like, we're just more balanced in all of our response to everything, right? But do you feel like that we've come that long? Am I just making that up, or do you feel like we've come a long way?
No, like I said, I feel very fortunate in the city that I work in.
But
I know
your experience has been good.
Yeah, I know that's not maybe.
I mean, they painted yellow fire trucks for you guys. Okay, just kidding. Okay, no, in all seriousness though, so your experience has been really good. So my question is do you feel like that's reflected more broadly in the fire service and the American fire service?
I would like to think that it's getting better.
Yeah.
I have not a ton, but as I travel and go to conferences and meet different women in different departments in different states, I feel like it's trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like my experience, and even maybe here in the Valley, this experience is maybe an anomaly.
Yeah.
Like it's good.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a hard question, I think, maybe. I don't know. When I think about my thought on hiring is that we are hiring people for value add, right? What do they bring to the organization? And so there's a big conversation about recruitment and retention and stuff like that. And so how do we, I mean, I know that the numbers of women on the job is small, relatively, comparatively speaking. And so my question is how do we recruit more young ladies, more 19-year-old Tammys who are going to come and add value to the organization? And how do we get people excited about this job and about providing service in the community?
Wow.
And then it's a heavy question, so I'm not asking, just want your thoughts on it.
No, I mean, for me, I just look at how I was treated. I rode in a lot of places when I was looking to get into the fire service, trying to figure out kind of where I wanted to work. And I rode in a lot of different cities. And how you're treated and how you're interacted with at the station, like, says a lot. So, I don't know. I just feel like, the way I was treated in Glendale when I was riding along, I was treated like anybody else. Not because I was a girl or because anything, just as a person. And I don't know, I feel like they really were trying to get to know you to see if you were a fit.
Value add.
Yeah, if you were a value add. So, I don't know. It's different. It's so different now. Like, even with people riding along or like interest in the fire service, like, we're not having the same amount of people test.
Right.
Like, I mean,
anymore. I'm like, I bring up this question about, gals on the job. That's not the question. It's we need people.
Yeah, no.
Do you have a heartbeat? Are you interested? Let's start there, right? So that's, I think it's important in conversation to say, who is interested in becoming a firefighter, and how do we attract them, right? And how do we help people understand that this job is evolving and dynamic, and it's about fighting fire, but it's really about, it's all hazards. It's about providing service in the community. And that's the core of it. And I think anybody can do that. And frankly, whether you're tall, small, big muscles, little muscles, whatever, like, it takes all types to do this job. And we all add something different to it. And that's huge. It's a big deal.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think, finding people that aren't just looking for a job either. Like, it really is a calling. I'm all in. Like, a lot of aspects of my life are related to or benefited to being a better firefighter or whatever. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah. Is there anything you would do differently as you reflect on your career? Mrs. Almost at 20 years.
Do differently. I don't know. Like I like the pace that I went at. Like I never had check boxes. I never was like, okay, I want to be an engineer and I'm going to be a captain and then I'm going to be a chief. And then, like, I never had any of those like absolutes. I mean, I knew I wanted to be a medic, but other than that, I kind of just enjoyed where I was at, tried to learn the most I could. And then as opportunities kind of came up and I kind of fell into things, I was like, oh, okay, like this feels comfortable. Like, I'm glad I waited to test for captain. I feel like that time in the backseat for me was super valuable and a lot of fun. Once you promote, you can never go back. So, like,
that's actually not true.
Well, I mean, yeah. But I don't know. Like I like the pace. I feel like I've done almost everything. I did the hazmat and the TRT and
yeah.
Super fortunate to do the RTO and.
I think you need to get your bugles crossed at some point. Yeah. That's next.
We'll see. I don't know. It's a lot of fun being a captain.
Folks, she's shaking her head and saying no. I don't.
It is a lot of fun being a captain. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously I haven't been a chief, so I don't know, but I feel like a captain is a pretty influential spot on the truck. It's pretty
100%.
Awesome. It's pretty awesome. Like in the department,
I have often reflected that the company officer is the pivotal employee in the organization. The fire chief can stand on top of admin and wave their fists. Please make this happen. But unless the company officers embrace that message and turn to and make that happen, it won't happen, right? They are the pivot point where the rubber meets the road, right? Or that conduit between the rubber, and the command base bosses. So
it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
A lot of power, actually, as I'm reflecting on that. All the power in the universe. Itty bitty dorm room.
Yeah. You go home and work's done. You get to leave work at work.
That is one of the most best things about being on the line.
Yeah.
Is, did you ever see that cartoon? I might be dating myself here, but it was the sheepdog. It was was it Bugs Bunny? I don't know. But the two sheepdogs would pass each other. Morning, Fred. Morning, Fred. And the one when they would swap their posts, and one would punch in and the other would punch out. Yeah, I'm dating myself. So anyways, I would love that. In the morning, you exchange pleasantries with the oncoming crew, you pack your trash, and that's it. Right? You don't have to think about work as you head home and go do something different. It's kind of nice. Mm-hmm. Something to be said for that.
Yes.
So is there something, it sounds like you've done so many things. Is there anything in your career left undone that you're like, I have identified this thing, something I want to do? Or even in your life, where are you at in your life right now? Is there something that you're looking toward?
Well, I mean, for work, this is my dream job. Lead RTO. Nice. Absolute.
How long do you get to stay here, do you think?
I'm here for another 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm hoping my hair doesn't turn gray by the end, but no.
There's product for that.
Yes. Not in life. I have so many places.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Yeah. So where's the number one destination you've gone?
Oh, Thailand.
Yeah? Why Thailand?
Oh my gosh. It wasn't even, I've always wanted to go there. It wasn't even on my radar. Like for being and
it landed at number one?
Oh.
Okay. You got to say more. I got to know.
It's so good. It's beautiful. I don't know why. It's so clean. Like the waters, the color of the water. Where
in Thailand though? Because it's
in the Gulf. Like you go down to
like Phuket or
off of Phuket. It's what are those little islands down in the center? It's called Phi Phi.
Okay.
Phi Phi. Those little islands in there. So you got to take like a 2-hour ferry.
Cool.
And like on this color of blue that the water is. I've never seen it before in my entire life. And it's wild. It's like I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a deep soul blue. I don't even know.
Cool.
Gorgeous. We traveled all over Thailand, so there's like all different types of
Is it hard to get around? I mean, I always think about the language barrier when I go to these places traveling. Is it tough to travel there or navigate?
No, everybody speaks English.
Oh, that's easy.
I know.
That helps a lot.
I'm so uncultured. No, they do. They speak English very well.
I heard it's very inexpensive too. Mm-hmm. Which I think is add +1, right? That's
very
nice.
Cheap. I think we flew a bunch of different places, like because it's a big country. So we were like north to the islands, all that stuff. You can get a flight for like $9.
What?
Yep.
Holy cow!
2-hour flight, just $9.
Dang, that's amazing.
And then they do Uber. It's not called Uber, but you can Uber anywhere. Or what they do is you can just hire a driver for the day.
Wow.
They pick you up, they're your Uber.
Yeah.
And then they go,
but they're dedicated.
But they go, hey, well, I'll just drive you around all day for $30. And you're like, okay. So like 8 hours, you got like a tour guide.
Wow.
We'll take you anywhere.
That's awesome.
Thai massages. Awesome. $5 for like an hour massage. Best massage I'll ever have.
Nice.
Food is amazing. If you like Thai food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty hot though. Burn your face off hot.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we tried that. She's like, you want it spicy? Yeah, I like spice. She's like, I don't think you know what spice is, but okay. Yeah. I almost died. Yeah. That was good.
But it was good. That's awesome. So where do you want to go that you haven't been yet?
Gosh. Okay. So there is a cave in Vietnam. It's like on the newer side, probably in like the last 20 years they've discovered it, but it's the tallest underground cave in the world.
Oh, interesting. In
some parts, it is so tall that they could fit a New York skyscraper in there.
And this is underground.
Underground.
Wow.
You have to get a guide. This is what I'm finding out.
Yeah. It's a cave underground. I would hope you had a guide.
Yeah, so it's like you got to hike a day through the jungle to get there, and then it's like 3 days. It's 6 miles long, so it's like you sleep in it. It takes you like 3 days to traverse. It has its own weather systems, its own lakes, its own rivers. There's parts of it where it has caved in, so there's like light, and then like forests, and so you like.
Interesting.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, is it on the docket? Are you going, or is it just?
It's not. It's not booked yet, but it will be. Like
soon.
2026, it's coming.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, man. So in.
I have yet to go to some of the like pedestrian places like Rome, Greece. Like we went to Spain and we went to Paris, France recently. That was my last big trip. But those are like the places you just have to go. They're the European landmarks. So I'm like, but I got to go to these other places. So I want to go places like that are so much more exotic, right? And one of my weird ideas is I want to hike to the Everest Base Camp. Oh, I don't want to hike Everest. I don't want to climb Everest, but I would like to trek. I want to trek through Tibet.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I want to do.
That would be fun.
I think so.
Machu Picchu would be fun.
Yeah.
Northern Lights in like Finland or
or like Iceland.
Or Iceland.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be cool. I talked to somebody who did that not long ago, and she went solo. She's like, I got to go do this thing. And she went, and then she met somebody there, and they had another lady that was solo traveling, and they hung out and had fun. She took these pictures, and they were mind-bending photos of the Northern Lights. And I'm like, how did you do that? She goes, I took a picture it's a snapshot with my iPhone.
So you can't even imagine what the real thing looked like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm unbelievable. I'm like, I got to go do that. And did you ever see that movie? I think it's Walter Mitty or something like that. When he goes, he's like, I need to go see that place. It just looks amazing and beautiful to me. Mm-hmm. The other place I want to go, New Zealand.
Yeah.
That's on the list also.
I would definitely go there.
Yeah.
There's so many places. Like right now, I don't get to travel much. Just fine. I love what I do, but it's so funny. I get urges all the time. I'm like, oh, I can't go yet. I want to go there. Like, I got a bug.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. What unresolved, apart from traveling, is there any big adventures you want to do besides traveling? Big things you want to try to accomplish?
Just in life?
Yeah. I mean, some people are like, I want to run a marathon.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I want to do an adventure race.
Are those things even real anymore? Do people still do those?
Well, not like the Amazing Race, but like one where
I'm thinking like the eco race where they do the horseback and the mountain biking and the river rafting and the.
Oh, I mean,
is that what you're talking about?
That kind of sounds fun, but like I kind of want to do where you sign up and they give you like a map and they're like, okay, I'll see you in like 80 miles. This is the end, and you gotta figure it out. You just run and like figure it out.
Oh, okay.
It goes through the night.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a guy I used to work with on the truck. He would do them all the time. He'd be like, yeah, I just got back from a 100-mile race. I'm like, what? Like, what? I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine, like what that would take. He said at one point he was, like, standing off on the side of the trail, asleep, standing up. And then just woke up and just kept running again. I don't know.
Sounds a little dangerous, actually.
Yeah. I don't know. That sounds, like, super fun. I like puzzles and, like challenges. And, so.
Nice. All right. Let me ask you some rapid fire questions.
Uh-oh.
What is, let me see if I can even remember what they are that I want to ask you. What's one piece of really good advice that you hear people give that you think is really important?
Okay. So fake it till you make it in a certain context. So talking about waiting until you feel like you have all the answers in life. Don't do that. Like sometimes you just got to lean in, step in before you're ready. Do it when it's scary, and you'll figure it out.
All right. Flip that. What's the worst piece of advice you heard given?
Oh, just wing it. It's different.
Ooh, it's close though.
It's
How's it
close.
different?
Just wing it. Like, I have a serious aversion to mediocrity and like average. So when people, to me, when it seems like flippant or like, I'll get to it, or like I'll figure it out, like, or it'll just work out. Like, there's still a little bit of work that needs to be put in. Like, if you're faking it till you make it, you're working your butt off. Like, there's a lot of work involved. So I feel like they're just winging it. Like, nah, like,
Okay.
it doesn't work for me.
Okay, copy that. All right. The title of this podcast is Fireground Fitness Podcast, or the Fireground Fitness Podcast. What does it mean to you to be Fireground Fit?
So, I like this question. So, I feel like, and I talk about this all the time, because I'm a workout fanatic. I love to work out. And so a lot of people don't understand that. Because I feel like I kind of revolve my life around like fitness and being healthy and all that stuff. So I feel like it's like a lifestyle. So looking at, like I said before, like how I live my life and how it relates to my career, I feel like I really am like all in. So the workouts that I do are very much tailored to making sure that I can perform in my gear. Like whether it's flexibility, agility, actually working out with my turnouts, specific strength training programs, cardio. I feel like that mentality very much plays into that lifestyle. How I eat. If you ask anybody, like especially at the truck, I'm a little bit of a bougie princess on what I eat, but it all goes into like what makes me feel good and what makes me able to perform. And don't get me wrong, I make cinnamon rolls and cookies and I eat all that stuff, but it's all in moderation. Sleeping, like trying to get the best sleep. Like I don't go out before shift. Like I don't drink before shift. Like I try to be in bed early. I try to get 8 hours of sleep to be prepared for shift. And then my work-life balance. If your home life isn't good, like, you're not going to be any good at work. Like, I use a lot of tools in the toolbox at work, and especially being in a supervisory role. Being on for 24 hours, and so making sure, like, your cup's full so that you have something to pour from when you're at work. So, and then training. Like, I feel like maybe I'm a nerd, but I like nerd out on
not even a question.
I nerd out on certain things, like training wise, like going to conferences and like using my time off or like extra money to pay for conferences or training things. I don't know. Like, I feel like it really is like a totality. Like, you got to be all in to be firefighter fit.
I love it. Tammy, thank you for taking some of your time and sitting down and rapping with us. I appreciate it. And any final words? Any parting shots?
My quote, my thing that I live by is do something every day that scares you. So,
like podcasting.
Yeah. No, like, if opportunities come up or certain things come up that kind of like, I usually say yes because I'm like, it's probably going to be good for me.
Right on. Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you.
Hey, folks, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tammy, thank you for sharing your time and talents with us. If you're enjoying the Fireground Fitness podcast, get on over to Apple Podcasts, rate and review the podcast. More than that, get on over to your favorite platform, subscribe, and this podcast will drop in the middle of the night when you least expect it. Surprise! Listen, you probably took away a grain or two or three from this podcast. Take that information, apply it in your life, go on out there and get some.